Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Derek O'Halloran. I work with the World Economic Forum. I'd like to welcome you all here to this discussion, this conversation. I should also say good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or perhaps even good night to all of those that are joining us online. We meet here in Davos this week under a concept of stakeholder capitalism and the importance of all stakeholders to embrace multi-stakeholder approach to tackle some of the great challenges that we have ahead of us, and in particular the role that businesses can play in driving some of the solutions to the grand challenges that we face today, whether that's around improving sustainability or the focus for today's discussion around driving inclusion. What we've seen through the wave of technological revolutions over the past years is the emergence of a new type of business model, a platform business model, and we see that the growth of this type of business model is only set to continue further. In fact, analysis done together between ourselves and Accenture in the past has suggested that upwards of 70% of new economic value that will be created in the next decade will be based on a platform-based business model. So I think it's really critical to understand what are platforms, how can they be drivers of inclusion, and in particular, how can you realize the potential of platforms to really drive inclusion, because ultimately they need to operate as businesses in order to reach as many people as possible. So we're joined to help us understand and explore some of these topics by two incredible industry leaders here. We have Daniel Zhang, the CEO of Alibaba Group. Perhaps the original platform, and we are joined by Julie Sweet, CEO of Accenture, who is. Without further ado, I'll hand over and let you guys have a great conversation.
Great, and this is really intended, as Daniel and I were talking earlier, just to be a conversation. I am going to brag a little bit about Alibaba first, because Daniel is too modest to do so, because we do have the ultimate platform company, here today in Alibaba, which became a platform company before the term was known, right? So starting 20 years ago, only 20 years ago, and today connecting 700 million consumers, the largest e-commerce and mobile company in the world. And just as importantly, for all of us who share this mission, creating 40 million jobs, right? And Daniel has been the CEO since 2015 and became the chairman from Jack Ma just this past September, has been a driver among the things that are some of the most visionary things, like Singles Day, which I know that we'll talk a little bit about. And I've been able to, since I became CEO, our companies work together, and I've gotten to start to get to know Daniel and saw the two sides of Daniel, which is very detail-oriented and very visionary. And so I think it's exciting that we're going to have this conversation. And so I thought maybe we could start, Daniel, from your side, is starting with the vision, because before we get into how we're transforming the world with platform companies, just maybe take us back to what was the vision? You did not start as a retail, and then move to e-commerce. Very, very different. So maybe you can share that with us.
Okay, thanks, Julie. Thanks for your kind words on Alibaba and me. I think, as you said, when we talk about platform economy, platform company, I would say we need to go back to the origin of this, which is the mission and the vision of the company. So when Alibaba was founded 20 years ago, actually, Jack and founding team, they saw the power of internet. And Jack there was a famous story that Jack paid a visit to Seattle, right? And by occasion, he searched the keywords beer online. And then he saw a bunch of results, but none from China. So that created, which made him thought, can we do something to help the Chinese products available in front of the global buyers? So that's the starting point of Alibaba. So, but when he do this, I think we set a very important mission for Alibaba, which is also relevant to this very designated business, which is make it easy to do business anywhere. So we start with this, help people to upload their products, which most of them are Chinese small SMBs, small business. They are the exporters. They want they want to find buyers in the overseas market. So internet gives this transparency. But when we go deeper into the core of this business, this is all relevant to the mission. And when we start our retail business, Taobao, Tmall business, then once again, we not only help people to meet and to find the leads and from the China exporter, but instead we help buyer and seller to trade via Alipay, via our trading platform. They can trade. So these, nobody plan to do a platform company at day one. And we even didn't know, what platform economy means at 20 years ago. But it's all about we identify the power of internet. What we try to apply this advantage of internet into the real business and create the value for our clients. So I think the core of the platform economy is about can we really create the value for other people? But all the people, because of this, people want to get together. And then we together become a platform. Platform is not Alibaba. Platform is all the stakeholders at this platform. That's the key thing.
For me, it's quite personal in the sense of how transformative it's been for China. And, Alibaba today, you would say, is behind every facet, both online and offline, because you start with internet, but you have this richer ecosystem. And maybe a little story. So I went to China in 1988 to study Chinese. I was a junior in college at the time. And so that's, 31 years ago. And I remember at the time, if you were a foreigner, you had to only shop in friendship stores. And we would go into the store and there would be people behind the counters, but no products on the shelf. None, literally. And to see what's happened in 30 years and the impact of that. So I just went to the Alibaba campus and to see the number of jobs and also just the changes. It's incredibly transformative. And in Singles Day, which is 11/11, in 1 hour, there was more commerce than in Black Friday for the US audience, of Black Friday and Cyber Monday. And, this sort of goes back to what you're creating in the platform and how you've thought also about the jobs and what it means for the other stakeholders, as you said. And so can you talk a little bit about, how you think about the job creation and that connection? And is this a model that you think can be replicated at the same scale, or how unique is it to the Chinese environment?
Well, when we talk about this job creation, I think that's the purpose, but that's not that we are not working every day directly for this job creation, because we create a business, we create a demand. Then because of more demand, more business, so people need to hire more people, the merchants need to hire more people. So that's the way we create jobs. And in terms of and also when you grow the platform, when you have so many, packages generated from this day-to-day operation, so you need a delivery guy. So you need to work with all the delivery companies, and they need to hire more, last mile guys to do the delivery. So I think that's the evolvement of the platform. And it's not like day one, we have a good planning and we say we want to create how many jobs for the society. Yes, we want to do better for the society, but we need to do this, as my keyword is using a market-driven approach. And as you said, more than 30 years ago, you had real experience in China. And at that time, you even need a coupon to buy in some designated stores for some products. But this was the real infra in China 30 years ago. This is a challenge, but also an opportunity. So e-commerce just gave us the chance to overcome all these difficulties, to overcome all these challenges in a new way. And because of the demand consolidated in the platform, the best example is November 11, as you said, but there is not many secrets behind this. The only secret is that internet show the power at one day, and all the consumers show their demand, and all the merchants get their supply ready. to meet the demand. And when demand and supply meet in a particular day, then create a huge volume. So that's the secret. But behind this is that, do we have the real infra? Do we have the payment system ready for this? Do we have these, logistics system ready for this? So I think this need all the stakeholders work together. We don't even have a planning meeting together. And because it's with such a scale, you cannot hold a planning meeting for the single state. But all the stakeholders, we work for the same purpose. And in the operation, then we create opportunities, for example, for new jobs, because people need new laborers in a warehouse. People need a new delivery man, on the street. So I think this is it's more like a rhythm. And all the stakeholders, we operate at the same rhythm. And we create together the platform. So that's what we see. And but why in China, I think we may achieve this in the last 20 years is because, as you said, the real infra at day one was not ready. So which gives you the flexibility to try new things. And if the existing infrastructure is not that ready, why not we try to build a new infrastructure to make all of these happen?
Great.
Yeah. So Julie, so when you have all these experiences about China, and in Accenture you also have many experiences across industries. So when we talk about platform economy, and because we are more like an insider in this platform economy, but what's the observation? How about the impact you see cross industries because of this platform economy?
And I would say, and if you look around the world, right, the world's leading companies, if you just look by market cap, are platform and technology companies, right? And so we see two big things. It's changed how you relate to your customers, so customer relationships, and how you think about that relationship, whether it's how quickly you can fulfill their demand, how well you're able to predict the demand. So it's required companies to fundamentally think differently about about customers. It's also required you to fundamentally think about how you operate, because in order to meet those expectations, companies are having to do things differently. And with respect to an industry lens, it's really created a horizontal across industries. And so I think the platform companies have blurred the lines between industries, because the expectations of consumers, the opportunities to therefore have to change the way you operate, and what that means that what we see are not only are industries coming together in platforms, but it's changing how all industries are interacting. Because I had one logistics company say to me, we need to be like the platform company for B2B logistics, right? Because the buyers and the expectations are. So you've seen three big things. You've seen changing ways of how you, the customer expectations, what that requires in terms of how you operate, and then the expectation that you're going to look cross-industry in order to accelerate. And all of those things mean you need a different kind of leader as well, which we can talk a little bit about. And that's very important when you think about sustainability, inclusion. And so maybe on the leadership side, although you have a very market-driven approach, as you've described, you're also very proud and have been very focused on how you are growing and the inclusive nature, for example, of your workforce, and how you've, I remember the video of the woman who was a person with disability and talking about the opportunities. So maybe we could just think about what the leadership aspect of what you're doing and how you think about inclusion.
Yeah, I think inclusive is a very important theme today in the whole society. But the question is not about, do we really need inclusive? I think everybody's answer will be yes, right? Everybody will say we need a more inclusive society, we need a more inclusive economy, the technology need to be more inclusive. But the key thing is about how. So how to make it inclusive, how to make all technology, for example, new technology, AI, all the stuff, it can be benefit by all the stakeholders, but rather than only a few people. So I think this need a not only the vision of the leaders, but also need the leaders' guidance in terms of how to create a mechanism to make all the people not only reach the consensus in theme, but also can take the real action. I just share with you one real example on our platform. And on our consumer marketplace, and we have, as you said, we have over 700 million annual active purchasers. And we have millions of merchants doing business. And we have a evergreen and a social welfare program. And many people ask that, okay, you do the social welfare, which means that if there is an earthquake, there is some disaster, Alibaba will try to donate how much you donate. But our answer is that as a platform, yes, we do some donation, but that's not the most important. The most important as a platform, you build a mechanism to make all the people relevant, all the people participate in this social welfare. And on our platform today, and if the seller, they want to donate some proceeds, part of their sales proceeds into the social welfare fund, they can volunteer, and on our platform, it's all machine driven. And then we just give their volunteer, products. For example, for every single product, we don't want them to donate too much. They may just donate 1 cent for each of the sales. That's okay. But we just give them a tag on the products. So make these products available and seeable by all the consumers. So which create a very interesting and a positive cycle, because consumers always want, okay, if this client, these merchants, they want to do some donation, and I will buy their products. And then because of this, they will have more sales, then they will have more donation. So this kind of mechanism is very, very important for the leader because we need a construction of the whole mechanism. So that's the leader's responsibility. Because of this, you can make all the people relevant to this, inclusive of this. Rather than as a company, as a one stake owner, we go ahead and do all the things by ourselves. We always think about, can we get all the people in and make this thing as our common opportunity, common challenge. I think that's very important.
Well, and I think what's also important about this, and this is what I'm talking to a lot of companies about today, is that what you describe is putting this idea of the inclusiveness, the ability to contribute to the social welfare at the heart of your strategy and what the business is. It's not, a corporate citizenship over here. It's not, sustainability over here. And I would say when you think about trends, I'm having many conversations across the globe about the need to shift to what we're doing for the planet and for our communities to be more at the core of each business, so what can they contribute, and also then core of how you train and develop leaders. And I think that's really important when you think about the platform economy, the ability to be the enabler, right?
That's right.
Once someone said to me about sustainability will never work if it's not sustainable from an economic perspective, right? Mm-hmm. And I do think that this trend of saying, in fact, what is something that's core to my business? So for Accenture, for example, we trained 300,000 of our own people over the last 3 years because that's core to our business. So we've started saying, well, how can we use our ability to train? We've had a long-standing, very important programs in the communities, but how do we bring it inside? So we started in the US, where we've never had apprentices really in the professional area, to be having apprentices. So yes, we could still hire people. We don't need them from a pure talent, but it's a way of saying, no, but the apprentices become a part of the core of our business. And I think that's a really important aspect of what you're doing, is that it's market-driven and it is a part of who you are and not separate.
Yes, I think today in China there is a very important strategy, which is a national strategy, which is a poverty reduction. So we want to reduce the poverty, and Alibaba is very, very committed to this. But the way we do this is that I take chair of the e-commerce initiatives for poverty reduction, which means we try to find business opportunities for these poverty areas. So we rather give them the donation, rather give them the one-time financial support. Instead, we try to help them create their own business, digital business, and make it sustainable. So, and we always say that we try to help them for the long term. And but this needs the leadership involvement and the leadership's commitment, because many people said, okay, we are doing the ESG, we are doing the sustainability, we have a designated team. But my response is always, yes, we do need a designated team, but I think first of all, we need a commitment from the top leaders. And if we can apply all of these into your main business, and if you can unlock the power of your main business to make this happen, I think this will have more impact, get more results for the whole society. Yeah.
So maybe we talk a little bit more about leadership. So from an Accenture perspective, one of our biggest focuses we think about making impact is, what are the leadership qualities for this next chapter, right? With so much change, the importance for all of us to be a part of impacting our communities and giving opportunities. So when I became CEO September 1st of Accenture, one of the first things I did was to talk about leadership essentials, because sometimes we don't talk enough about it. And also the culture that we expect our leaders to do. So there were two things that we really focus on. One is, as a quality of a leader, is humility. And this is, of course, people have to have confidence and competence, but the humility to understand that no single leader, and frankly, no single company has all of the answers, but in a leadership level, the need, therefore, to have teaming and to have learning. And so my first broadcast, my first webcast message or video that I sent out to 500,000 people talked about my quarterly learning agenda. And I actually started my own learning board.
Practice.
Right? So it's
very
right. And it was telling our people that you have to learn, right, as that. And the second piece was the idea of shared success. So we just launched this actually last week as encapsulation of our view as a leader in our industry and with our clients. Shared success with clients, with shareholders, with each other, and with our communities. And that is who we seek to be known as a leader, and how individual leaders, that is the hallmark. If you epitomize that culture and that leading. Can you talk a little bit about, so when you're doing the leadership development and you're looking for leadership and you talk about that, what are the hallmarks of leadership at Alibaba?
Well, I think the key word, in the leadership, development is innovation. Because I think when you look at the innovation, there are two ways. First way is bottom up. So you may have a lot of applications and a lot of technologies, and from the engineer team, from the research lab, we say this is a bottom up. But I think for the leaders, the other very important direction is top down, which is you can structure a new business, and which address the pain point of customers, and you need to align all the resources across the organization to make this happen. So I always said, if the leader is not innovative, you cannot request your team to be innovative. So I think innovation and the think differently is a very, very important, core, characteristic of the leaders. And this, but I think it'll tie back to what we discussed before as inclusive. I think this innovation is not only for the better, business of ourselves, but it's for the better experience of the customers. I think these all things are integrated, and we may think differently and do differently, but then we can work together with all the stakeholders to create a better life of the society. And Julie, I have a question about the platform economy, and because Accenture has so many experiences across industries. You serve many experience working with many famous companies, very successful companies. But as a company, as a business, so how will it impact you? When these, platform economy grow and have influence over more and more, areas. So what's your thought?
So luckily, the way, our business model is to be always helping clients, our companies themselves innovate and know how to implement today and where things are going. And it applies to our own selves. So the way we think of the impact of the platform companies is we have ourselves tried to adopt the mindset of a platform company. So 10 years ago when I joined Accenture, we used to call ourselves fast followers and light on investment. We were a people business. Today, we invest $3 billion a year. We have 6,000 patents and patents pendings. We build assets because we know that's what the future is, and today and for tomorrow is that we have to participate that in our own way, right? Yes. Providing that. So it's certainly changed the services, the nature of our investment. But it's also really said to us that how we have to be innovation-led, so we started that transformation 5 years ago when we were the first company to create a digital unit. We're now the first company to put digital everywhere because that was so successful. Yes. But it goes back to this point about innovation. So when we talk about leadership of shared success and humility, it is exactly because we think innovation is core to our success and to our clients' success. And that innovation can only happen when it can't happen alone, right? And so your point about having to, whether it's bringing leaders in, and we've shared our own stories about how do you get the horizontals working in your company across your products or services. It's how we partner together. I mean, when I will meet with a client who says to me, we have an innovation group, and I said, well, who do you partner with? And they say, we don't really have any partners. And I said, well, okay, then it's not possible to really be successful because no company, including Accenture or an Alibaba, right? Because I know how you partner, can be innovative only within themselves, right? And that's true whether you're trying to solve societal problems and drive your business. And so that's how, we really made the shift from being investment light and fast followers to innovation, and then had to shift everything about our mindset to do that.
Yeah, I think that's very important comment, which is the innovation cannot from one single organization. Actually, it's cross-organization, cross-companies. And today, I think the internet gave us a very important, change, which is the world today is a network. And before, it's more like 2 parties, 3 parties get together, they collaborate with each other. But now it's multi-parties, and the influence across multi-parties and create a chemistry, and because of the mutual innovation. And if one go ahead and all the relevant stakeholders, they may also make their adjustment and do their innovation to either fit for this change or even go even far away from this. So I think that's the very important comment. And I think for Alibaba, actually, we always not only try to innovate by ourselves, but also to enable other people, to enable the stakeholders, the merchants, the customers, the delivery companies, and the cloud partners, and all the stakeholders to innovate together. So that's the way we think can create a massive benefit for the whole society.
Yeah, agreed. I think we're about to come to an end. We have 2 minutes. So any last thoughts of advice as we sort of think about the future of platforms and innovation to everyone watching, Daniel?
Well, I would say, as I said in the beginning, I don't think anyone day one will believe themselves as a platform. So platform is evolving. And I would say with the recent development, quick development of the technologies, I would say there will be new platform and arising, and this here and there, but for the whole society, I think we and in the business partnership, we need to find a way to understand each other. I think that's very important. So everybody could be a platform, and everybody is a stakeholder to each other. So I'm your stakeholder. Alibaba is a stakeholder of Accenture in our partnership. And you also, Accenture is also our stakeholder. So we are relevant to each other. And we need to grow together. We need to do a lot of things together. But I think the key thing is do we share the mission, which is very important. I think that's the core of the collaboration. That's the core of these stakeholder, capitalism. And if we share the same vision, share the same goal, then we can find the right way to get there.
I agree. So shared success, shared mission, and working together. So great takeaways.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Great.
everyone.
I'll just ask you all to join me in thanking everyone. I want to try and summarize. Sorry,